welcome to or back to Growth Rising. I'm Bird, and on this channel, we just talk about all things dealing with astrology. And I made a video like over a week ago, I know, about the relationship between psychology and astrology. And I know I was thinking, sociology and astrology have some similar. I mean, sociology and psychology have some similarities. So I'm pretty sure that sociology and astrology have some similarities too. Um, so I was, doing a little refreshing on sociology, and of course, it's the study of like groups, um, the study of societies, of different cultures, different religions, different what's the word I'm looking for? Like different backgrounds, different classes, like um basically the wealthy and the not so wealthy, the middle class, the working class, the middle class, the lower class, and the upper class, you know, all of that stuff, even dealing with the education system. So I was like, I know that some of the stuff can be affected by, the planets, even though some people might not want to admit it, even though they can be a walking example. But Um, so what I decided to look at, because sociology focused on like groups, it doesn't focus on the individual, is I wanted to look at the generational planets in astrology. And so, with the generational planets, it's definitely Pluto. Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. I have seen on a couple of websites, I believe, how people would put Jupiter and Saturn in generational planets, but Jupiter stays in one sign for like 12 months. Then it's gone on to the next. And Saturn will stay in one sign like 2.5 to 3 years, and then it's on to the next. So I personally do not see those as generational planets, because like within one generation, because I did look up some stuff about, generations, and there's not a set amount of years. Some generations may be 15 years, some generations may be like 17. It's just other things that they factor in to determine when a generation starts and stops. But now I lost my train of thought. Okay, well, Uranus stays in one sign for about 7 years. So within one generation, you'll probably get it in about three, maybe four signs. But we do have to keep in mind Uranus also does go retrograde, just as well as all the other planets, excluding, the sun and moon. But all of the planets will go retrograde. So Uranus, within that 7 year period of being in like Capricorn, it will go retrograde. So if it just comes out of Sagittarius, it will go back in there at some point. The same thing with Neptune and Pluto. Neptune stays in one sign for about 14 years. So you'll probably get about two about two signs in one generation with Neptune. You can be stretching it if you say three, depending on like when Neptune enters. Like I'm just gonna say like with Gen Z, that starts in 96, I believe. Like let's say Neptune was in Aries, which we know it wasn't. Neptune was in Aries, um, like in January of 96. And then in February, it goes into Taurus. So within that 14 years, you know, then after the 14 years, then it'll go into Gemini. But that's like with Neptune, that's kind of how you can kind of get the three signs out of there. but the majority of the people in that um, generation will have it in Taurus. And Pluto, it takes about 20 years, like maybe like 18 to 20 years for Pluto to be in one sign. And so within a generation, you'll like get two signs with Pluto. Um, but the reason why I was saying I was gonna focus on the generational planets because like a baby boomer versus the silent generation, they'll see things differently. And you know how it is, how people usually see like the parents see the kids and the kids see the parents. Um, to me, it kind of like replays itself because certain planets are in different places as to why different things are popular. And I'm gonna get more into it because I know it can be kind of sounding confusing. I hope that it doesn't sound very confusing though, but I am gonna break it down as to what I mean and how it can affect, people collectively. So first we're gonna start off with Generation X. I'm just gonna do X, millennials, and Z's or XYZ. But okay, so starting with Uranus. Uranus went through three signs what um during this generation. But okay, so at the beginning it started out in Virgo. Uranus was in Virgo up until 1968, and then it went into Libra until 1974, and then it went into Scorpio until 81. But we know that 81 starts the millennials because Gen X is from 1965 to 1980. And a couple of things that, well, first let's just go over Uranus and all of these signs. So we know that Uranus is like the innovator. Uranus says, I want to know how the system works so that I can kind of like shake it up a bit so that I can do it the way that I want to make it fit me. So, knowing how Virgo is very detail oriented. And so that's just kind of like Uranus, like, okay, I got to know these details so that I know how to make it better. As like, let's say if you're making a sub at Subway and you're like, okay, I know they have all of these meats first, but I want to switch it to have the veggies first and then the meats, something like that. Depending on the person, it might make more sense. But if you're more of I just want the meats and not the veggies, it won't make sense. But if you're more, I like my veggies hot or something, like everything toasted together, it'll make more sense to you. But that's kind of like Uranus in Virgo. And Virgo is also about helping others. So Uranus is like, what way do I usually do this? And how can I make this better? How can I shake it up so that it'll be better than what it is now? Then moving into Libra in 68, it's like, Libra deals with harmony and love and relationships. So Uranus is like, okay, now I got to shake up some relationships. And one thing that did happen with Gen X is the divorce rate did start to go up. So Uranus was really shaking up some stuff like, okay, let me get into this relationship and let's try to make it better. Or let me just shock everybody. Let me surprise everybody. Because you can't really predict everything with Uranus. It's basically like I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do. But Uranus understands whatever system it's in. That's one thing because Uranus is like smart. And so it wants to understand whatever system it's in so that it can make it better for them, for Uranus. Um, and it stays in Libra up until 74 and then it goes into Scorpio. And so Scorpio deals with like, intense emotion, rebirth, sex, stuff like that. And so Uranus wants to shake that up. And I think the AIDS went up too. during this generation as well. And so with Neptune in Gen X from, 65 to 80, it starts out in Scorpio up until 70, till 1970, and then it goes into Sagittarius. So Neptune is in those two. And so Neptune is like, it deals with culture and the interests of people. And so during Generation X, one thing with the culture was like the music, like alternative, what was it? Alternative rock, hip hop, and other genres became big during this generation. And so moving on to Pluto with Gen X, Pluto started out in Virgo until 71, and then it went into Libra. And so with Pluto, it's the planet of rebirth, it's the planet of diving deep just so that we can get to the core of whatever it is. It's the planet of intensity, obsession. So with Virgo, you know, this generation was also focused on getting things done so that you can get ahead in the work field, as in, let me make sure I do this so I can get a promotion. And so, depending on your aspects, with Uranus and Pluto being in Virgo, for the same period of time, except for Uranus moved quicker, it could have affected some people in the work field, as into where I want to really focus on the details so that I can make it better so I can get a promotion. But if, like, let's say Uranus was just not really in aspects with any of your other planets and Pluto was, then the Pluto will be stronger in your chart versus the Uranus and vice versa. But then Pluto gets into Libra in 71. So just a couple of years before Uranus gets in there. So it could have been very intense in those relationships. People were like, "Oh, I love you so much. I really want to marry you. I want to be with you now. I got to have you. I want to, like, I just want for us to just be in harmony." But then Uranus came over there and was like, "I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm gone." But yeah, so that's kind of, Generation X. And so with the millennials, or Gen Y, is from 1981 to 1996. Okay, so with the millennials, Uranus was in Scorpio, at the beginning of 1981 up until February. So after that, it went into Sagittarius up until 1988. And after Sagittarius, it went to Capricorn until 95, and then into Aquarius in 03. And like we know, Uranus wants to shake things up. So part of the whole thing with, the sex and the rebirth and, you know, obsessiveness and all of that was still going on at the beginning of the millennials. But the majority of the millennials will most likely have their Uranus in Sagittarius to Capricorn. I don't know. I had a brain fart, but what happened within that time? But yeah, some people will still have it into Scorpio, and some people are going to have it in Aquarius, but it won't be as many. And so with Uranus wanting to shake things up, you know, um, like different, like, okay, Uranus in Sagittarius might want to shake up, what people believe in, how people, want about education. And one big thing with millennials that Gen X might not have done as much um, was, get a college education, which a lot of Gen X raised millennials. So that's kind of why it was like, get that college education and do this and do that. And so some people, yes, they did because it was so forced, like kind of on us. But with that Capricorn, that Uranus and Capricorn, which it's like I want to shake things up, but Capricorn is also still like we got to get ahead. We got to, know what's going to happen. So you're learning stuff with Sagittarius in a way that fits you best. And then you go to Capricorn and now you're in the work field and you like, I want to climb this corporate ladder and I want to do it the way that I want to. I'm not going to do it the way that you might necessarily want for me to do it because that doesn't make me happy. That doesn't make me feel better. And then Uranus goes home into Aquarius. And Aquarius is already like, I'm going to be unpredictable. So that's just all types of unpredictability. And it was in Aquarius until '03, but we'll get to that with Gen Z. We'll get to that in a minute. So Neptune, Neptune started out in Sagittarius up until '84, and then it moved to Capricorn until '98. So with Neptune, it deals with culture and interest. So let's just think about it. Neptune and Uranus being in Sagittarius and in Capricorn. So it's like you're interested in whatever in Sagittarius and travel, but you're gonna travel your like maybe everyone who you have known have always drove to a certain place, but you're like, no, I'm gonna fly to this place, or I'm gonna fly to China instead of just driving to New York, depending on where you live. Because if you live in Florida, bless your heart if you want to drive to New York. But just something like that. And also with Capricorn, you're very interested and you're seeing it as a cultural thing with everyone wanting to climb the corporate ladder. But Uranus is like, slow down. We got to do this the way we like to because if we don't, we're not going to be happy. So it's like you're interested in it, like it's something that you want to do, but you're also like, I got to do it the way that I want to do it, or else it's not going to get done. Oh, yeah. But let's go on to Pluto. Now, Pluto started out in Libra up until '83, and then it went into Scorpio until '95. So it was at home in Scorpio. So the millennials with your Pluto and Scorpio, your Pluto is very, very happy. I mean, as happy as Pluto can be, because I don't know about y'all, but when I think of Pluto, I don't think about happy. But I wasn't planning for this video to be too long. But so then after '95, Pluto moves into Sagittarius. So Pluto is about death and rebirth and the afterlife. And it also deals with other like it also deals with obsession with others and or other things as well. And so with Pluto and Libra, there's that I want to be married. I want that harmony vision that it was sold to me whenever I was younger with the mother and the husband and the two kids and the little lab and the white picket fence. That then Pluto goes into Scorpio and was like, you know what? I want to be sexually liberated. I want to do this because it makes me feel good. I want to stalk this person. And then it goes into Sagittarius and it's like, I want to know more. I want to know more about the things that people are not talking about, the things that some people are scared to say. I want to know more. I want to dive deeper. Okay. And also, one thing with millennials, they started to, grow up on the internet more than Gen X, and then it traveled and started to get even more with Gen Z, which we're going to go into Gen Z now, which was from 1997 to 2012. So Uranus started out in Aquarius up until 2003. And one thing I was saying with the Aquarius, Uranus in Aquarius, the whole 9/11, that was, I don't know, was it 2001? Okay, I think it was 2001. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, like the 9/11 shook up a lot of things. That's Uranus for you. And then it's in Aquarius at home where it feels so comfortable. So it does not care what it's doing to shake up anything now. And then, up until '03, and then Uranus goes into Pisces, which deals with, like spirituality as well. Uranus Pisces also deals with emotions and um like intuition. Those are some of the things that deal with Pisces. And so Uranus is in there. And it's like we're going to really try to feel the vibes of everything. Like we got to feel the vibe before we know if this is the right place for us to be. And that's up until 2010. And then Uranus goes into Aries, which Aries is like, let's go, 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 go. So Uranus and Aries is like, we're going to be shaking up things really quick in any kind of way that we can. So, like, we're just going to be doing stuff that's going to be making us happy. And if you can keep up, keep up. If you can't, that's your problem, not mine. Let's go. Um, Neptune, it started out in Capricorn up until 98. So some of the Gen Zs will have Neptune in Capricorn, but the majority of them will have it in Aquarius, which Neptune was in Aquarius until 2011. And then it moved to Pisces. And y'all do keep in mind that when I'm saying the years of when it moved to the next sign, these planets still did retrograde, So like how we see Pluto now. Pluto just went into Aquarius, but it's going to retrograde, I think, one more time into Capricorn, which since like the first, okay, we're going to get to that in a minute. But Neptune will go into Pisces in 2011 and it will stay there until 2025. So next year, that's whenever Neptune will be like, okay, let me go on to Aries. And Neptune is very dreamy. And it does deal with culture and interest, but it is very dreamy and vague. So like Neptune and Capricorn, even we see how the system is, how things are supposed to be, but in our mind it's like, this is the way that I want it. So this is the way I have to make sure that it is so that it could be better. Kind of like Uranus and Neptune kind of working together because they're slow moving planets, but you see how they will eventually will at some point be close to each other. Like with Gen Z it was Scorpio, millennials it was Sagittarius and Capricorn, Gen Z's it's um Aquarius, Uranus, and Neptune. So it's like these are my interests. So I'm be interested in this and then I want to make sure that I can make it fit the way that I want it to fit. And Pluto, so with the Gen Zs, Pluto was already in Sagittarius and it did not change signs until 2008. So then it moved into Capricorn and it's stayed there until 2023. And then it moved to Aquarius and it's going to be there until 2024. And so, like I was saying, with Pluto, it does still retrograde. So it's not like it just stays in one spot because it's going to go back into Capricorn, I think, in November. And then it's going to be done with Capricorn for like the next 240 years. But then it's gonna start, then it's gonna go into Aquarius, then it's gonna play between I mean Pisces. Okay, it was in Capricorn up until 23 and then it moved to Aquarius, and it's going to be in Aquarius until 2043 because it'll be completely done with Capricorn in November, after November. But yeah, so the planets they will retrograde So it will still, teeter back a little bit. So if you're born during one of these planets in retrograde, you might have it in the previous signs, because the majority of the people, born in um during the Gen Z generation will probably be um Sag and Cap. So yeah, but because we know that Gen Z is from 97 to 12, or 1997 to 12. So that's all it can be. But I just wanted to add that on because the planets don't move to the sign and stay there. It's just that I don't want to go into whenever it retrogrades because the video is longer than what I thought it would be. But that's how I see how these planets will affect us, you know, through each generation. Because like Uranus is like shake things up. So wherever Uranus is for the majority of that generation, it's trying to shake things up. Wherever Neptune is, this is what Neptune wants for, the majority of people to be interested in. This is how Neptune is going to affect the culture. And Pluto is more like, we got to find out how we can grow through whatever is going on right now. We got to figure out how we can basically dive deep and then come out on the other side. But yeah, so I hope that you did enjoy this video. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave a comment below. And I hope you all have a good day.